Well, while the White House invited lots of what it called moderate Muslims to this three-day seminar, critics are questioning how one controversial figure made the list. The man to the left of the president in this picture is Salam al-Mariyati, the president of the Muslim Public Affairs Council. He is an Islamic activist who declared right after the 9/11 attacks that, quote, we should put the state of Israel on the suspect list for the 9/11 attacks. He has since said he's sorry. He also compared Islamic terrorists to, quote, American freedom fighters hundreds of years ago who were also regarded as terrorists by the British. Mark Thiessen is a Fox News contributor and an American Enterprise Institute fellow. Mark Hanna is a Democratic campaign vet and a partner at the Truman National Security Project. Mark Thiessen, how does this guy get invited to a conference, a summit like this?
It's mind-boggling. I mean, President Obama won't invite Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House, but he will invite an Islamic activist who said that Israel should be considered a prime suspect in the 9/11 attacks, or another person from a member of his organization who said, quote, Adolf Eichmann was himself a Jew, so in fact the Jews killed themselves in the Holocaust. How does this happen? How do these people get invited to a conference fighting? I thought this was a conference on fighting extremism, not giving it a platform. These people should have no role to play in combating Islamic radicalism.
Mark Hanna, in researching this guy, it appears that he not only has worked with the Obama administration, he did work with the Bush administration as well. But does that excuse it? I mean, when I looked into his background and I read a lengthy article by Andy McCarthy at the National Review online, and he talks about how this guy's group condemns terrorism before non-Muslim audiences, but neglects to explain that it does not consider resistance against those who, quote, persecute Muslims to be terrorism. And he has many examples of this group's support of Hezbollah and Hamas and incendiary rhetoric. What was he doing there?
I think you just answered the question, Megan, by saying, look, this guy has been working, and same with the Muslim Public Affairs Council, has been working for 10 years with our Department of Justice, has been working with our local law enforcement. This group is a mainstream moderate Muslim group. He's absolutely said stupid things in the past, for which, as you correctly reported, he's apologized for. But it's very rich to have Mark.
For one of them. I found an apology for saying Israel may have committed 9/11 against us.
Megan, we always wonder in the media, every time there's a terrorist attack, we wonder, where are the moderate Muslims? Who's going to come out and you know, speak out against this? This group is the group that always does that. If we try to alienate this group, who are our allies? Of course there are going to be Muslim groups that get invited to
ones that support Hamas and Hezbollah, groups we recognize as terrorists. Mark Hanna, I mean, Mark Thiessen, you tell me whether the fact that the Bush administration worked with this group at times as well excuses having them at this conference.
Mark Thiessen, I think Mark Thiessen should answer why. Okay, good. You should answer that.
If we invited them to the White House, we shouldn't have done it either. But the point is that this group is not, if you're saying these are kind of the moderate Muslim groups that we should be working with, this is a guy who said most Islamic movements have been branded as terrorists as a result of rising extremism of a handful of militants. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah have been misbranded as a handful of militants. I mean,
but it's not just that. I mean, reading Andy's article further, he says in 1993, for example, this guy Mariyati proclaimed, when Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death, that statement epitomized jihad. And he goes, I mean, there are so many examples of this, and examples of a Palestinian attacking Israeli families on a corner and getting shot dead in response to his, or getting shot in response to his terrorist attack. And this guy called for justice to be delivered to the shooters here in the United States without mentioning that he was shot because he was attacking a bunch of Israelis. I mean, this guy seems to be rather radical, Mark Hanna, and it just feeds into a narrative that people have about whether the president is taking the advice of the right people and whether he's focused on the right things at this summit.
I think he is. Look, there were groups from this summit. You mentioned, you know, the Christian people mentioning the Bible. Yeah, I've spoken with my friends who were at this summit, and they mentioned that there were groups from Northern Ireland there represented. There was the Anti-Defamation League, the sort of Jewish group that rightly calls out and criticizes anti-Semitism. This was a diverse group, but it wasn't, I'll mention, this kind of interfaith gathering. We know that violent extremism in this throughout the world this day and age is coming mostly from groups that are affiliated or sects of the Muslim faith. And so we absolutely need Muslim groups there. We can take quotations out of context like this right-wing journalist that you're mentioning.
And we can
do that. We can do that to conservative America. We can do that to Republicans and make them out to seem like, Rush Limbaugh has said all the, we can take anything that
you're comparing this guy to Rush Limbaugh, a guy who justifies Hamas and Hezbollah.
Mark, you're a white House.
Go ahead, let Thiessen have the
I'm
floor.
sorry. A guy who says that Hamas and Hezbollah are the equivalent of the American founding fathers, a guy who said after the Fort Hood shooting, after it was absolutely clear that Nidal Hassan was in communication with Al Qaeda, with their leaders in Yemen, said that it was just because he had psychological problems. I mean, this guy just dismisses terrorism, justifies terrorism. When you compare Hamas and Hezbollah and terrorist groups to the founding fathers, you are justifying.
Let me ask you this, Mark Thiessen, before we go. Listen, I
that.
want to ask you this because the question is whether what we had here, this 3-day summit, was a social justice organization. I mean, it was a summit on social justice and how we need to improve the economies in these countries and the healthcare in these countries and items that have been favorites on the left, as opposed to going squarely at the religious ideology that motivates terrorists.
No, we're talking, there were 3 pillars to this, and one was attacking with kinetic military might, attacking with air power and striking down and killing terrorists. That was discussed among us and our allies at the State Department as part of this. There was also, yes, a community angle, and we can trivialize that all we want. We can say that's somehow soft power or it's a democratic idea, but it doesn't stop the fact that most of this terrorism that is coming out of these kind of homegrown communities is coming out of communities that are Muslim communities. And so under the Bush administration, under the Obama administration, the Department of Justice has been.
I mean, I ask you, Mark Thiessen, whether that feeds into what Marie Harf was saying, which is we need to find them jobs. And as the president himself pointed out yesterday, most of these terrorists who hit us on 9/11 came from wealthy families. Osama bin Laden came from a wealthy family. Sure. And it's been well documented that most of these terrorists arise from the middle class or upper middle class.
That's true, but look, I have no problem with what we're talking about with soft power as long as it's backed by hard power. When soft power is used without hard power, it's just softness. And that's the problem that we have here. When we have the United States fighting ISIS, when we have the United States fighting ISIS with the military is fighting with one hand tied behind its back, because every military commander has told the president we need boots on the ground and the president won't send them, and then we're having all this discussion about these soft issues, it's nothing but weakness.
Ed Henry had just reported on, and he's called Bill O'Reilly unfair on this.
You're confusing me by bringing up Ed Henry when we just talked about Patrick Henry. All right, I got to go. Good to see you both.
Good to see you, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.